What's good with you? Good morning. We finna get into it. But first, just vibe. Before we get started, man, if any of y'all find yourself going through a place of darkness, if any of y'all feel like you got a weight on you that you can't bear, fuck with me. I'll be your huckleberry. I can be your beacon. I'm trying to be the smile on your face. I ain't got to know you to give a fuck about you. That's the beautiful thing about me. How y'all doing this morning, by the way? About that time for you to just open up your ear and let me crawl into your mind one time. What's good with y'all, man? Y'all tuned in with Priceless Knowledge of Self. And the shit that I'm gonna share with you today, it takes a lot for me to share this with people. I know y'all see me being open a lot of the time when I'm here on live and when I'm talking to y'all. But how I got into the place that I was in, it goes well beyond the crime I committed. It started way back. Way before that. See, the roots of darkness, they start deep within. They're not caused by external events. Nah. It's something that's always been inside of you that must be awoken. And so, I've thought about it. And there are 3 of my placements that are central to the trouble that I got myself into. 1, that Cancer son of mine. Because one thing that a lot of people don't talk about Cancer sons is a Cancer son will steal. And the reason they'll steal is because of security. If they're in a place in life where they don't feel safe and secure, they're going to do whatever it takes to try to get to that place where they're going to be safe and secure. Does that make it right? Hell no. Hell no. Because if they would have stayed down until they came up, they would have been straight. Another one of my placements, this Pisces moon of mine. And the thing about this Pisces moon of mine, the thing about having also Neptune in the 3rd house is you have a tendency to be a product of your environment. Whatever you're around, you become a part of that. So if you're being around spiritual people that want the best for you, 9 times out of 10, you get on that type of path. But if you're around drug addicts, drug dealers, pimps, prostitutes, manipulators, thieves, robbers, murderers, rapists, those type of people, it can affect you negatively as well. And another thing that a lot of people don't speak on when it comes to having a Pisces moon is, it doesn't have to be prison, although sometimes it is. Pisces moon is one of those placements where a lot of Pisces moons are going to end up spending at least some significant amount of their life in isolation in some way, form, or fashion. Whether it be a self-created isolation or one that's governmentally imposed. There's an isolation there. And I'm talking about a physical isolation. But you can never ever forget about the prison of the mind, which is the most cruel one. That place where you can't get away from yourself. Now, the last one, I forgot about that Neptune in the 3rd house, so there's 4 of them. The last one is, of course, that black moon Lilith in Gemini in the 8th house. That right there, that right there speaks of mischief. That right there speaks of manipulation. That speaks of lies. That speaks of thievery. That right there is not somebody that really will rob you. No, that's somebody that knows how to finesse you and make you insist you have those things that aren't theirs to have. So we finna go there. And the last thing I want y'all to remember when I'm going in is the beautiful part of all this is I can look back on these stories I tell y'all and I can look at it like it's a freaking a myth or just a story, because I don't even know the character in these stories anymore. I'm not him. That's the most beautiful part of all of that is I can't even fathom the lifestyle that I used to live. Because the way that I live now, the way that I conduct myself, the way that I carry myself is so far away from that sometimes I wonder if, I just imagined it all. But then when I go in the mirror and I see this tough skin, I know it couldn't have been in my imagination. No, I put myself through that. To get this, you had to go through that. And that's rough, man. That's rough. Like, I put myself through some shit, man. Like, y'all have heard some of those stories that I tell y'all, but y'all cannot fathom how fucked up I was at some points in my life. Y'all can't fathom the way that I was living. What's up with y'all, man? Ain't nobody spoke to me. I need some interaction, though, y'all. I'm here. I know y'all here to hear the story, but y'all can definitely hit me up. Y'all are welcome to speak. You know what I'm saying? That's why I went live and I didn't just do a pre-recorded story. I want y'all to be able to feel me while I convey it. And so, just understand that the beautiful part of this is we can look back at this shit and like, damn, that motherfucker was crazy. And I can look back and say, damn, that motherfucker was crazy. Because I'm not him anymore. And we'll get to the rest of that in a minute. So let me turn the music down. Because shit's going to get real. So, the first thing to understand in this story is what sets me apart from everybody else that might have grown up in the gutter or everybody that went through that type of lifestyle is I knew better. I knew better. I've always known better. What's up, Elizabeth? I've always known better. The fact of the matter is, I had experienced my mama's love. I had experienced my nana's love, my grandmother. I was born with a Pisces moon. So I have always known right from wrong inherently. It's been there. Same thing with my son being in the 9th house. I have always known right from wrong. What's up, El Zapata? So there ain't no excuse for me. There ain't no excuse for me. All right? And, you know, as I told y'all before, growing up in my parental home, there was a very interesting paradox that went on. Because even before my mama left my dad, when my mom and dad were married still, like with my dad, I don't know their rising signs. My dad, you have a Gemini sun with a Capricorn moon. And my daddy thinks he's a pimp to this day. My mama was a Pisces sun with a Leo moon. Both of them very laid back, but they're also extremely toxic for each other. And, you know, like I always tell y'all, my mama's a Pisces sun Leo moon. My moon is in Pisces in the 5th house. So there's my mama. But my black moon Lilith is in Gemini in the 8th house. There's my daddy. So if I got an angel on one shoulder, a devil on the other shoulder, there's my mom, there's my dad. And so you do have to understand, yeah, I knew better, but I always had my daddy there. And my daddy was always there to encourage bad behavior. You get what I'm saying? And then you also have to understand that growing up biracial, it can be very confusing. And it can be very cruel too. Because when it comes to your white family, you're their black cousin, you're their black nephew, you're their black family member. You know what I'm saying? Now, when it comes to your black family, you can't never be black enough for them. If you talk smart, you acting white. If you can't run as fast as them, you look at your white ass. If you better not be light skinned and get beat up one time, because guess what? Then now you soft with your little bright ass. Oh, he's so cute. You feel me? Like it's a fucked up paradox. And then even when it comes to your friends, you can't be black enough for black folks. You know what I'm saying? Because like anytime with your black friends, you the yellow one, you the bright one. What's up, light bright? You the bright one. You just can't be hip enough for them. And then with your white friends, you still they black friend. It don't matter if you half white. You still they black friend. And that's what that is. So growing up with that is very confusing. Because I go around my white family members and they're especially nice to me. Because I'm their black family member and they might have guilt for shit that's happened in their life, maybe whatever happened. But they're especially nice to me. Even my grandmother, she spoiled me to a fault. To where now sometimes I love my Nana. I'm thankful for everything that she gave me, the love she showed me, all the things that she taught me. But I also do think now in my more advanced mindset that the way that she treated me different than she treated all my white cousins, because me and my sister were the only ones that were mixed in my family, it was a little racist. Because she should have treated us like she treated everybody else. Even her treating me better was a little bit racist. You feel me? It was. And that's the truth of the matter. And it's not me saying that that's a bad thing. I'm thankful for that. But now that I'm able to look back, she should have just treated us like everybody else. She didn't have to show us special attention. And the reason she showed us special attention is because she grew up in 1930s Texas. So, you know, that's cruel. Now, when I go around my black family, you know what I mean? They extra pushy, they extra bully on you. They extra tough on you because you bright, because you yellow. That's what they call it in Texas anyway, because you yellow. So this is a very confusing time. And then, like I said, I have my mama and my nana who are always teaching me beautiful things about love and singing and all this other shit. You know what I'm saying? When you have my daddy, when you're alone, saying, man, fuck these white folks. They don't really give a fuck about you, nigga. Don't nobody really give a fuck about you, nigga. You better look out for yourself, Roderick. That's what you got my daddy. You better watch out for you, Roderick. These motherfuckers just playing games with you. That's that Capricorn moon of his. Thinking everybody's out to get him. Thinking that everybody, thinking that everything's a competition and everybody else is underhandedly fucked up the way that he is mentally. No, bro, that's your Capricorn moon, bro. That's you because you think everybody's on the come up like you are. Because you using everybody for the come up. You feel me? Never forget that when I talk about my placements either, that the Black Moon Lilith, when I say that's in the 8th house is also about the come up. People need to never miss that. It's about sex, it's about death, but it's about the come up. It's about coming up off other people. It's about joint finances. Scorpio energy is about attracting money to it. Taurus energy is about making money. Y'all don't hear me though. Anyway, if y'all here and y'all ain't hit the like button, you should be doing so immediately. So, anyway, so what happened was, it made a lot of confusion. And then you also have to understand that I got Venus in Leo. So I was spoiled. My moon is in the 5th house. I was spoiled. My mama spoiled me. I was always treated like I was special by everybody because I was special. Because I was special. I was very musically talented. I had Neptune in the 3rd house. I was way smarter than everybody else. I'm a Pisces moon, so I'm an old soul, so I could go kick it with the adults and talk with them as a little bitty kid, and they'd be like, man, who is this little kid? You know what I'm saying? Like, that was me. That was me. But in doing all that shit, too, I learned a lot of fucked up shit. I learned a lot of fucked up shit, and I already knew a lot of fucked up shit. I got Pluto in the 1st house also. So I saw shit. I went through shit from a very early age that transformed me all the time. I was always changing. And so what really changed my life and started this stealing shit was after my mom and dad got divorced when I was 8, right? And so my mom, she worked at the state school after that, which when I say the state school, I don't mean a teacher. She worked at a institution for mentally handicapped people. And she supervised the dorm there for like 15 years. And so my mom was working at the state school. She made pretty good money. And my stepdad was in a movie as reenacted those Buffalo Soldiers. He was in a movie, a TNT movie called Rough Riders that was about the Spanish-American War. And so we were making a little bit of money in our household. But my mom got sick. She found out that she had hepatitis right at the beginning of my 5th grade year. And she tried to work through it, but it was already so advanced by the time that she found out that she had to stop working. So money changed up. So I went from pretty much having what I wanted all the time to not getting shit at all, to living fucked up. You know what I mean? From having it, pretty much my way to where we living in the projects because my mama can't work anymore. She's sick. She has medical bills. And my stepdad had dipped off by that time, so we don't have nobody to take care of us. And see, me, I had an obsession with wrestling action figures. Like, that was my Pisces moon escape back then. It might be weed now, it might be music now, but when I was a kid, I would watch wrestling, or I'd go get my wrestling action figures, and I had all of them, and I'd go create worlds. It wasn't just wrestling. I'd play football games with them. I'd play X-Men with the wrestlers. I had an obsession with action figures. And so when I was like, the first time when I was like 11, which I know that's old, I played with the motherfuckers till I was like 14 though, y'all. That was Pisces moon in the 5th house for y'all. Anyway, but when I was like 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, by the time I was like maybe 10 and a half, 11 was the first time we went to the store in the mall. We were at the store in the mall at KB Toys, and I wanted this toy, and I was like, Mama, give me this. And it's only $5 or $6. And she said no. And I begged, I threw a fit. I'm like, you can't give me a $5 toy? What do you mean? You ain't never told me no. And she told me no. She told me no. She told me no. And so, enter that Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio. I mean, Black Moon Lilith in Gemini in the 8th house. You can only tell me no so many times. So, I didn't do anything that time. The next time we went to the mall, or next time, I don't know if it was Toys R Us or whatever, I went in there by myself. I was sneaky enough. I went, popped open the action figure toy that I want, put the action figure in my pants, threw it through the action figure, through the box in the thing. I did it one time. Nobody caught me. I got the toy I wanted. I went home. So guess what you gonna do? I'm gonna go back again the next time. I'm gonna take 2 of them. And it got to a point where I leave the motherfucking Toys R Us with a pants full of them. And that's where that stealing shit started. But I got caught doing something I was taking something from somebody. I don't even remember how I got caught. But as soon as I got caught, the way that, I think my aunt caught me. But the way that I got caught, the way that she shamed me, it made me not want to do it anymore. So I stopped stealing then. And so that stopped that shit until my mom died. And so when my mama died, I went to go live with my uncle in Abilene the same day my mom died. And when I went to go live with my uncle, once again, you have to understand, my uncle is a captain in the Marines. My aunt is a master librarian at the university. Like, they live a certain lifestyle, but they're also very structured, and they also don't, you know what I mean? They don't allow certain things in their house that might have been allowed in my mom's house. Like, there was no, my aunt and uncle could clearly afford cable, but they did not have cable in their house because they didn't want their children to be stuck on the TV. The TV couldn't come on before 5 o'clock news in their house, and it had to be off by 8:30. You can stay up however late you wanted at night, but after 10 o'clock, you better have a book in your hand if you're not asleep. And that's how they ran their house. You had to go outside and play every day. You were a part of school functions. You went to dances. You were a part of Boy Scouts. You were a part of Taekwondo. You were a part of I was a part of boxing. They put me in boxing. You were a part of every school function. You played sports. Like, you went to church. You know what I'm saying? You sang in the choir, or you did the bell choir in their church, or you were an acolyte where you wore the robe and you carried the flag or a torch during the church service, or whatever the fuck it was. But you were going to be involved in things, and you were going to be productive in their house. But see, when my dad lived a block away from the school, and so every time I get, every now and then or every few days, I'd get to go stay at my dad's house. I get to go see my dad. I'd walk from school, go see my dad, spend time at his house. I already told y'all the story about the first time I found weed outside my uncle's house. I took it to my dad. He taught me how to get high. And so I'd go to my dad's house. My dad would let girls come over there. Not only that, my dad's wife had daughters, and they had friends that would come on over there. And so there was always some girls over there. I'm 13, 14-year-old boy at this time. And so I'm always wanting to go to my dad's house. And when I'm over there, he let me do anything I want. My dad would just let me take off for days at a time, really, at 14 years old. You know what I mean? Let me do whatever the fuck I wanted. But here's the trick with that. Because of my mom passing away, I got a Social Security check. Me and my sister both got $1,600 each month for Social Security because of my mom passing away and because of the work she did. And when we lived with my uncle for that year, my uncle and them, they would put my money into a bank account. They don't need that money. It's for us later on. And so, look, my sorry ass daddy, when I go visit my daddy, he always, every now and then, I didn't notice till later on, and he'd slip a question in about our fucking, like, what are they doing with that money of yours? Oh, Roger, I think they fucking you out of your money. You know what I mean? He's manipulating my brain, like, they should be giving you your money. And the fact of the matter is, he's manipulating my brain, my dad and my stepmom, because my uncle and them were putting my money up. I didn't need money. I got an allowance from them a certain amount a month, but my daddy and them are making it seem like they're not giving me a certain amount out of my check, so they're fucking me. Fucking with my 13, 14-year-old head. When in all actuality, this bitch just wanted my check. Sorry, daddy. I still love you, but yeah, he just wanted my check. That Gemini Capricorn shit, he really plotting the whole time. And so, eventually, he manipulated me into telling my uncle and them, hey man, I want to go live with my dad. My uncle and them, they told me straight up that that's not what they wanted from me. My mama had told me that I better not go live with my dad. When my mom was sick and she was kind of telling us what she wanted to happen in case something happened to her, I would always say, well, I want to go live with my daddy. And my mama would say, no, your daddy loves drugs more than he loves you, son. And I'm telling, and I used to think that maybe she just hating on my daddy, but she would say, over my dead body, will you go live with your daddy? If something happens to me, you need to go live with your Uncle Bill. Not your Uncle Chris, which is her other brother, because your Uncle Chris works too much and your Aunt Patty cannot handle that shit. She said, you have to go live with my brother Bill if anything ever happens to me. She always instilled that in me. And maybe she told them because my Uncle Bill was there to pick us up the day that my mama died. And so, the fucked up shit is, here I am, because of my daddy, over my mama's dead body. Just like she said, over her dead body, I went over her dead body, told my uncle, hey man, I want to go live with my daddy. My uncle said no. Well, he said, but my uncle's very fair-minded. My uncle's an Aquarius, I think. But my uncle, he's like, and my dad and them are like, nah, my dad and them are threatening to take my uncle to court. Because they're going to sue for custody. My dad is trying to sue for custody. Even though he never wanted me before that, he's going to sue my uncle for custody. And so he did. Well, at the end of the day, when it came down to it, when it's a custody situation, the judge, and I'm 13 years old, I'm 14 as a matter of fact, I'm 14 years old, the judge is going to ask me. It comes down to my decision. Or it's not even really my decision. People get that wrong. It's not my decision, but my decision has a tremendous amount of influence over what I want. Is going to have a tremendous amount of influence over what the judge influences. And my sister, at that time she's only 11 or 10, so she doesn't really have a say. I choose for both of us. And so I'm going hard in the court saying I want to go with my dad's, and it gets so bad at my uncle's house, and my uncle's like, hey man, you can go ahead and go stay at your dad's. Even, you know what I mean? Like, but your sister's staying here. And so I took off and went to my dad's so I could do my thing. And my sister, eventually I went into court. I made it sound bad enough about my uncle's house, which I didn't lie, but I knew, me being who I am, I know how to, make things feel a certain way. No matter how it really was. I could tell the truth, but the way that I conveyed the truth could make you feel a certain way that was deceptive. That's the thing about that. I knew emotions. I was manipulative. And basically, I left out all of the good that my uncle and my aunt did for us and the structure they instilled in our life. And I just spoke of all the things that bothered me. Just like a kid would. And so eventually, we got sent to my dad's house. What's up, Tasia? But yeah, eventually I got sent to my dad's house. What's up, everybody, man? Elza Potter, Jessica, Kane, what's up with all y'all? And so that was the worst mistake I ever made in my life. That's what changed my life for the worst. So, because when I got to my dad's house, my daddy, As soon as we moved in with him, he moved from where he lived right by my school to the other side of town, in the hood, in the Crip hood. You get what I'm saying? And so I immediately had to change schools from the nice school high school that I was going to the school on the other side of town, to Abilene High. I went from Cooper to Abilene High, which is a whole different atmosphere. You feel me? And then I'm going to the hood school, and here's the crazy part. Even though it's crazy, I'm going to the hood school, and I'm a new me. I'm a bright skinned dude. You know what I'm saying? That's me with my charisma, my style, all that shit coming to this new school. So the girls went crazy. I went crazy. It was just, I was turning 15. Like, it was a crazy time. And so I immediately fell in with the gangbangers, running the streets. But I was always broke. My daddy and them had tricked me. They said they was going to do all this shit, but they just wanted my check. So what happened was, and this is what led to it all. My dad and my stepmom, they got $1,600 a piece each month from me and my sister. They would give me and my sister $40 a piece out of our check to get everything we wanted and everything we needed. And then the rest of our check, they would fuck it off. And it wasn't like they spent it on bills or we were living good, because we were still living in the hood. We still go without hot water for months at a time. We would still be fucked off because my daddy was smoking crack like a motherfucking broke stove. And he's not your typical crackhead, because he's not going to be running the streets, stealing, begging, all that shit like a crackhead. No, my daddy's a Gemini sun with a Capricorn moon. He's going to try to uphold appearances. No, my daddy still has to look fly. My daddy still has to drive a Cadillac. My daddy still has to do all this shit while everybody else is suffering because his ass is really smoked up. And so that's what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's going on with that. This nigga's taking my check. I'm getting $40 a month. I'm hanging out with niggas that's in school with me that's 15, 16 years old that's already hustling. They already hustling. They sell weed or they sell dope or whatever it was. They steal cars. Like, they had a hustle going on. But I'm always broke. I'm just there to smoke weed. And so finally, one of my homeboys, Neckbone, he came at me. And he was just like, hey, what's up with it, Faith? My dad, he came at me and he was like, hey, man, what's happening to all, I know you get them checks. He's like, I get a check. He came at me and said, I know you get checks from your mom dying. And damn, y'all. My phone is ringing. I hope it's not an emergency. Hold on, y'all. Damn it. Hey, y'all, I might have to come back in 1 minute. Damn, no. Hold on, y'all. Hey. Hey, man. Hey. Y'all gonna be upset with me. I'm in the middle of my story, and I gotta go get my son from school. They just called, and they're saying he's coughing too bad. And so, I'm going to continue this story in 30 minutes. Okay? I will be back within 30 minutes. I'm so sorry, but my baby is sick. And I gotta go get my baby. I'm daddy before anything. What's up with it, Tiara? But yeah. Hey, I'm gonna leave it live. Y'all can tune out. I'm just gonna leave this on right here like this. Sure. It's gonna be annoying. There'll be a fucking 20-minute break in this video. But I'll be back in a minute. Y'all vibe. To give a fuck about the darkness. I'll be right back. Hold on, y'all. I'm gonna put some music on. Be right back.
Love your coffee.
Hey, LB, how'd you cook this beat? Impala drummers.
G. And the music start. What the hell? The music stopped playing. Let me give you some medicine, Daddy. Hold on. How the fuck did the music stop, cuz? Read Russian first. Junior, you good? We finna get it back cracking. Nah, hold on, son. It's cool. Yeah, we back. Turn this shit down. Good? You got something to eat? Huh? You got something to eat? Great. My bad, y'all. I'm a member of the PTA. I couldn't just go in there wearing a dicky suit and shit. Let me give you some medicine, Daddy. Come here. What are you doing? Trying to get that candy? You drink all this. Come over here where people can see you. Say hi. Hi. You feeling okay? Hey. Where's your kiss? He's excellent. He's excellent. No, he's not excellent. He's sick. He got some runny nose, but other than that, he'll be all right. Daddy got some. What's up, Faith? We finna get right back to it, y'all. Hold up. I need him to clear the vicinity. Go give me a hug before you go. Okay. You okay? All right, I'm fixing to be back working, so stay back there. We back. Was that longer than 30 minutes? So where was I at again? I know. I was talking about going to live with my dad, and I was talking about him stealing my Social Security check. And so, as I was kind of saying, me and my sister we were getting $1,600 a piece. My daddy was giving us $40 a piece to get everything that we wanted and needed with that. And I'm hanging out a whole bunch of people that's having some money, but I'm not having no money. And so he kind of pulls me to the side and he says, I know you get a check. He said, because I get a check, because his dad was dead. He said, what's happening to all that money? Why is you broke? And I'm like, man, my daddy taking my check. He said, okay. He said, so what you spent, he said, what is your daddy spending your money on? And I said, crack. And he said, so what the fuck do you need to do to get your money back? And I said, sell my daddy crack? And he said, bingo. He said, I'm gonna front you a 50 piece because I know you're good for it. And so he fronted me a 50 piece. A 50 piece of crack cocaine means that you're going to get 5 dubs. So a double up. And that means that you're going to make $100 off of it. Then you can get you 100 piece and so on and so forth and all of that bullshit. And so thus started my relationship with selling drugs. My daddy would give me $40 when I got my check. I would go get me a 50 piece, because my friend would let me get a 50 for 40. And then I sit up there, I start off with 50 and I just sell my dad crack the whole time. Why? And he'd end up, by the time it was over with, he'd end up owing me money. I'd get most of my check back and that motherfucker would end up owing me money. And so that kind of what happened with that. And then in running around in the streets, I ran into my partner Chris. And Chris is a Pisces son. And Chris is a motherfucking thief. Up until this point, like I said, I had not stole since way before because I didn't like the way that my aunt talked to me and made me feel about it. And so Chris, he hits licks. Chris also breaks into houses. Chris also has a stepdad that's like the most owned, if you want to call it, or I'm saying the biggest dope dealer in our city at that time. Like his stepdaddy is the man. Now he ended up getting killed. His stepdaddy ended up getting killed. They ended up finding him in the trunk of his car at some point later on, but that just shows you how the game goes. And hey man, speaking of which, man, before anybody says anything, yeah, R.I.P. to Young Dolph, but people die every day, B. You need to stop worrying about these motherfucking celebrities and get your life right. Anyway, back to the story. So I start hanging out with Chris. Chris got me, Chris has these dreams, these Pisces illusions of him being a big ass dope dealer. Because his stepdaddy is a big ass dope dealer. And me, I'm easily influenceable. So Chris always has these schemes, these elaborate schemes of hitting a lick that involve me doing a whole bunch of crazy shit and him being the lookout. Me being his crash dummy, basically. And there would be times I'd be like, bro, how come you ain't doing this shit? And he'd be like, it's my idea. I'm the only one that knows where they'll come from, so I got to be looking out. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so I fall in with that bullshit with him. And the thing with Chris is, what I never could understand is, here's that Pisces bullshit. Chris don't really want to be on. Chris don't want to hit these licks. He don't want to hit any of these jack moves or sell dope so that he can really come up and get out of the gutter. Chris just wants to look like a big drug dealer. So as soon as we hit these licks, we'll have all this money and all this dope, and Chris would give it away. He'd be walking around giving it to people like he's the shit, like he's the biggest baller in the motherfucking hood. And I'm like, bro. So eventually we had to disconnect with that, but that's just part of the story. And so my first run-in with the law came when I was 15, and I'm at school. And I've been messing with this girl named Tasha. And Tasha is known. Let's just say she's known around the school. And Tasha is a big old girl. Tasha is a big old girl. And she's well known for doing things around the school with everybody. And so I'm new to this school, and me and my cousin are walking after school, and this girl Tasha, who I've been messing with on the cool but don't want to know anybody to know about, there's that Black Moon Lilith in the 8th house shit. She comes up to me, and maybe even in Gemini in the 8th house, she comes up to me and she hands me a note in front of everybody, in front of the whole school. And I embarrass her basically. I open my hands up like, I don't want that note. And she said in front of everybody at the school, she's like, oh bitch, you gonna act like that? She's like, bitch, you don't act like you don't fuck around with me? And then she just took off walking. And my dumb ass, I'm trying to play. I'm really trying like to embarrass her. But I took off running while she took off walking the other way. And I jumped up to kick her in her ass. But I kicked her in her back instead. I jumped up too high and kicked her in her back instead. Bam! Kicked her in her back. And I just saw her arms fly out. Woof! And I saw her go wham! Hit the concrete face first. Boom! Little did I know that she walking to her mama's car. And she was just 3 steps away from her mama's car. So as her mama just seen her daughter just bam! Eat concrete face first. And as soon as I saw that, boom, I landed on my feet. Her mama stood up and said, who tripped her? And I just took off running to the front of the school, me and my cousin. Trash ass. We ran to the front of the school. We get to the front of the school, and as we get to the front of the school, her and her mama come walking up. They holding hands. I know I'm in trouble. Yeah, people can say race don't matter. Race matters. First of all, I shouldn't have did what I did, but second of all, I shouldn't have did that to no white girl at school. And so here and her mama. And she pointed at me. She said, you. She's coming to the front door of the school where I'm hanging out at, waiting for my stepmom to come get me. She pointed at me. She said, you come with me. And I was like, okay. And I opened up the door to the school like I was going to go in, and I just closed it, and I just took off running. Me and my cousin both took off running. I'm running home now. I got to go catch my stepmom before she leaves the house, which we only live like 4 or 5 blocks away. I was waiting for her to come get me, but now it's imperative that I get to her before anybody else gets to her and she find out what just happened at this school. Because I know this lady's finna go tell these principals or somebody in this school that I just tripped or kicked. She doesn't know I kicked her. She thinks I tripped her daughter unless her daughter just tells on me. So I'm running down the alley. And as I'm running down the alley, I pick up a stick. I'm running with my cousin, and I pick up a stick, and I'm scratching my face with the stick. I'm scraping at my face with the stick. And my cousin like, what the fuck is you doing, nigga? And I said, man, you finna see. So when we come out the alley, as soon as we come out the alley, my stepmom is pulling up. And as my stepmom is pulling up, I run around to her driver's side of the van that she's driving. And I'm like, Jackie, Tasha, I'm like, Jackie, Tasha just slapped me in front of everybody at the school, and then I kicked her, but I didn't mean to hurt her. I'm lying. She didn't hit me. But I know that once I say that, Jackie, my stepmom, she's an Aries. As soon as I say that somebody's against me, she's finna get mad and she's finna go to war. Like, fuck that. They not finna do that to my baby, especially not no little girl. You know what I'm saying? Whether she really cares or not. So she's just ready for action. I know Jackie finna go to war as long as I don't look like I just did something to a girl, which I did. And so to make a long story short with that, I went to school the next day, got arrested. I had just turned 15. Let's just say that I never got off probation again, ever, or any type of paper or incarceration until I was 29. 29. No, 31. 31. My bad. That started that affair that I had with them people. Because after that, I got caught. I took some money out of my grandmother's bank account, and I withdrawals. I stole her ATM or debit card, and I took $100 or $200 out of my grandmother's ATM account, and my uncle pressed charges on me. So then I had debit card abuse on me. Then I started stealing cars, and me and my friend Darnell, we accidentally ended up stealing my probation officer's car. Yeah, my probation officer's car on accident. See, what we would do, and y'all pay attention because it's what these trash ass kids these days do. We would go to convenience stores, we go to casinos, we walk down the street. If you left your keys in your car, that car is fixing to be gone. But we weren't taking the cars to chop shops like most people would do. What we would do is we'd take the cars, we stash them somewhere else, and we would drive them around. You know what I'm saying? We leave them there for a month or two till the heat got off of that car, until the laws weren't looking for them that much, and then we drive them around at night on the back streets, and nobody know we were moving like that. Or we look for plates and try to switch the plates, something like that. But we weren't never doing anything productive with this shit. But anyway, I had just got out of juvenile, and I'm walking with my friend Darnell, and Darnell sees this truck. And it has the keys in it. It's a nice truck. And he's like, hey man, that truck has the keys in it. I'm finna get it. But when I turned around and looked at the truck, I saw that it had a funny looking sticker on it. The tags were a different color than everybody else's tags. And I was like, nah, I ain't fucking with that truck, cuz. And he was like, nah, I'm finna get it. And I'm like, nah, nigga, I'm not fucking with that truck. And so he went back and jumped in it, took off, got in the truck, took off the other way from me, and I just kept walking. I get to the end of the block that I'm on. Darnell pulls up on the block next to me, and he's revving the truck up like, like, man, come on, stop being scary. He's like, stop being scary. And I'm like, all right. So I run over there, dumbass. I get in the truck. We jump in that truck. We immediately leave from Abilene, Texas. We jump on the highway, drive to Sweetwater, Texas. We clean out the truck. Now, this is not the way that I usually do things. Understand that, because I'm usually going to go clean it out and go stash it somewhere and drive another car or get a Dolphin rental. And all a Dolphin rental is a Dolphin rental. You would give somebody that does drugs or does crack, you would give them a couple of pieces of crack to rent their car for a night. But that never works out because crack only lasts for 15 minutes. So even though you might give them $40 or $50 or $60 worth of crack to take their car for the whole night, that shit is gone within 30 minutes and they want their car back or they want more dope. So it's always a conflict with that. And so we take off doing things that are different. We take off to Sweetwater. We fuck around in Sweetwater for a little bit. We come back to Abilene. We drive up to my house. This is important in the story because I'm going to tell you in a second. That's how we got busted. We drive up to my house. When we drive up to my house, my stepsisters and my sister are outside playing basketball on the basketball goal in front of my house. My friends that are with me, because it's me, my friend Darnell, we done picked up 2 more people now. They jump out and flirt, play around with my sisters and shit. And so I'm like, man, let's go, man. Fuck that. I'm trying to get them away from my sisters. And so we leave. We drop them dudes off. We go pick up some females of our own. Understand, we're only 16 at this time. And so we go to this convenience store, what y'all would call a bodega if you're not from here. Convenience store, bodega, corner store, all that type of thing. You know what I'm saying? So we go to this convenience store, and we sitting out there pumping gas. I'm sitting in the passenger side rolling up a blunt. Darnell's out there pumping gas. While we're out there pumping gas, a truck pulls up in front of us and just pulls up real fast, and a Mexican guy hops out of the truck. He comes around to my side of the truck. He's like, oh, it looks like y'all motherfuckers are having a little party. What the fuck you doing in my truck? And I jumped up like, oh, shit. And I just took off running. But I get like halfway around the store, and I realized that I left those girls locked in the truck. They were in the back seat of that truck. This is a truck that only had 2 doors. And I just jumped out and took off running. And Darnell don't even know what happened. He just saw that he wasn't even paying attention, or he wasn't right there. But that dude just came up to me, and I saw him come up to me, and I should have just kept running. But anyway, I went back, I let the girls out, they jumped out, they ran, me and Darnell took off. And to make a long story short with that, the next day I go home, because I ran. The next day I go home, my stepmom is like, don't leave. I'm like, why not? She's like, don't leave, you done fucked up. And I'm like, man, I'm thinking I'm in trouble with them. Lo and behold, 6 laws pull up. Turns out, whether I knew it or not, my probation officer, my new probation officer at the time, lived 4 houses down from me. And we didn't steal that truck from 4 houses down. We stole that truck from like 5 blocks away from my house. But that's my probation officer's mom's house. So my probation officer, who was a chick at the time, was at her mom's house. And we done stole her truck on accident. And so what happened was, when we came to my house and my friends were out there flirting with my sisters, my probation officer is outside stressing about her truck and sees us pull up in her truck 4 houses down from her house. And she couldn't see who was in the truck, so she came down there, and she was like 20 something, so she's at the age where she could come ask for us. But she came down there and asked my sisters, like, who are those guys in that truck? Who are those dudes? And my sister just told them all of our name. Oh, that was Roderick and Darnell and so-and-so and so-and-so. And so, hey, I appreciate it, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's all of them. And so, lo and behold, I ended up getting locked up for that. And so, from that sequence on, just little shit would happen that I always ended up, not getting out probation, but it was never anything bad. So fast forward, I end up getting my ex-wife pregnant. We end up getting married. I get signed to a record deal where I don't have to jack anymore. I'm making money. I'm actually selling big dope at the time, really, and I mean that's trash, but that's where I was at in life. I was selling pounds of weed too. Like I had a lot going on as far as, where I didn't have to be doing any stealing. And like I said, I was married and I was starting to grow up a little bit, I thought, but not at a soul level. Not at a soul level. And so, hold on, y'all. And so what ended up happening with this was, I ain't gonna go into a long story on this, but I basically fucked off my marriage because I didn't want to leave the streets. My wife at the time left me. She took my child and went and moved in with her mom's house, told me she was gonna file for a divorce from me because I only wanted to be a dad when it was convenient to me back then. And so, and she, more power to her for that. And so she took off. And so I'm fucked up in life. And I ended up getting kicked out of my, or I didn't really get kicked out of my apartment. I went to go re-sign my lease at my apartment. And the apartment manager said that they no longer were offering me to extend my lease, that I needed to go ahead and find me somewhere else to go. Because I've had the police at my house too many times. They've heard that I sell drugs. My house smells like marijuana. It's time for me to move around. And so I'm like, damn, which is That's why my wife at the time had left me. My ex-wife had left me because I wasn't taking care of business. I wasn't taking care of business. And so that just, instead of that waking me up and making me do better, it gave me permission to be worse. I just went harder in the streets. I started just living way more fucked up. And then, like, I don't know what I was going through, but I also started going through a time where, like, no matter how much hustling I was doing, like, it was not working. Like, I would sell dope all day, but I smoked weed. I did other drugs. You know what I'm saying? And it just, I wasn't seeing anything. And I fell into that negative mindset again. And so somewhere in there, I started doing a little jacking here and there. You know what I'm saying? And then I was going to college, and I was living with my cousin. And my cousin, he's a biracial like me, but he hung out with nothing but rich, uppity people. And so he always had a party at his house every night. And so when he's having people at his house, like, he have all these people there, like, everybody getting drunk, I'm jacking the shit out of everybody. And my cousin, he's an Aquarius. And he's one of the best people I know. He got tired of that shit. And he didn't kick me out, but he finally came at me and was like, bro, I'm tired of you stealing from my fucking friends. Like, either stop doing that shit or get the fuck away from my house. You're my blood, but, like, that shit's fucked up. Stop doing that trash ass shit. That's trash. And basically, I got offended because I got called out on my shit, and I left. And so I go stay with another friend of mine, my friend Matt. He's a Virgo. Well, Matt worked at the prison, which is ironic. But I go stay with my friend Matt, but Matt is one of them Virgo's mama's boys. Like, he has his own apartment, but he don't even live at his apartment. He lives at his mama's house. He comes to his apartment when he wants to play video games by himself for a night or something. But other than that, he stays at his mama's house where he can be taken care of. And so I stay with him, but I basically live at his house and he doesn't. Well, eventually, like, he gets tired of that shit and he's like, bro, I'm not paying no bills. He's like, bro, I don't even live there. You live there. Like, I'm paying rent at a house that you live at. Like, I'm just not going to pay rent anymore. So I'm just telling you that I'm going back to live at my mom's house to save money. So you got to figure something out. And so I end up, you know what I mean? Me being in that fucked up lifestyle and that rut, I end up living with my other best friend, who was crazy. That's Tordell, the one I told you about from my other story. He's a Cancer Sun Aquarius moon. And he and I have been best friends for years. And the thing about he and I is Tordell is 260 pounds solid muscle. He's built 6'1". He's built like a professional wrestler. But he's very laid back. He does not want to hurt anybody. He is the kindest, nicest, softest soul that you will ever encounter. I mean, period. He is a nice guy. Way too nice. Way too nice. And so basically when I lived with him, he looked up to me so much because of me rapping that he let me have free reign of his household. He just wanted to be able to go to the studio with me and do all that rapper shit with me and his other brother, who is my music partner in my music group. And so he's doing that. But while he's doing that, like, I done started a career in jacking motherfuckers. Like, I sell dope as a front, even though it's crazy. Like, you should be doing something else as a front, working at McDonald's as a front, or you should have a little gig as a front. I sold dope as a front for me really being a motherfucking jacker, because I was gonna jack everybody. And I'm not talking about robbing them, which is something that might even be seen as honorable because you risking something. No, I was manipulating people. I was working people. You know what I'm saying? I was smiling in your face and fucking you over on the coup. And like, I was the type of motherfucker that was gonna take from you without you noticing. Like, you'll never know. I'm gonna take a little bit. And I'm not gonna take everything you got. I'm not gonna rob you. No, I have morals. Take a little bit, just enough that it won't hurt you, and it'll help me. Just a little bit that it won't hurt you, and it'll help me. Just a little bit where it won't hurt you, and it'll help me. All that fucking trash. And so I was like that. But then I started doing drugs. And it wasn't just one drug like some people. Like for me, I started doing shrooms a lot. I started doing coke a lot. I started loving ecstasy. And this ecstasy that y'all got these days, you know what I'm saying? It ain't nothing like them rolls we had back in the early 2000s in the from 1997 on to like 2006. Like, them rolls then was something else. That's where if you pop one pill, your ass finna be rolling all motherfucking night long. You gonna be rolling for a whole day off one jigger One. And when I say rolling, I'm not talking about just up like you high on some. I'm talking about, man, where you rubbing yourself saying, man, I feel good. Like, that's that real ecstasy where all you can say is, man, I feel good. Where you look at the motherfucker next to you and say, man, you my motherfucking best friend. You know that? I fucking love your ass. Like, that's how that motherfucking E used to be back in the day. You talking about drug meth? Nah. X, they had heroin-based X back in the day. They had methamphetamine-based X. They had acid-based X. Like, they had all different types. It depends on what color you got and what the head was on that bitch. But, hey, man, like, I was on them X shows, and I love that feeling. Like, I love that feeling. I love the feeling of shrooms and that psychedelic and with that my Pisces moon. I love taking off somewhere else. I love being able to touch things that aren't of this plane. I already smoke more weed than I do now, like Snoop. And back then, like, I had my weed addiction. It was not self-sustaining. It was like a crack addiction. As much as I talk shit about my dad, it wasn't self-sustaining. If I didn't have weed, I would throw a motherfucking fit and cuss everybody out. I would steal. I would blame people. I would talk shit, be mean as hell, be such an asshole that somebody's gonna get me some weed, so I'll stop being like that. Somebody is gonna get me some weed, so I will stop being such a fucking dick. Give him some weed, please. Let's pawn the fucking TV. We don't need to watch the TV because I can't even watch TV with this motherfucker acting like that. Let's pawn the TV and give him some fucking money. Because this nigga needs some weed. If we don't get this nigga some weed, either I'm gonna kill him or he's finna flip the fuck out. That's how trash it was. That addiction that brought full circle. And then, on top of that, I started getting addicted to getting away with things. I used to walk. I had took off walking one day. I got mad because we didn't have any weed. And I took off walking one day. And I'm walking down the street. And there's a car door open and there's a purse strap just hanging out the car. I open it up. I steal the purse. I open it up. There's $1,700 in $50 bills in there. I mean, probably somebody's paycheck, man. There's $1,700 in there in $50 bills. There's a card in there, and I got the money, and I should just put it back. But no, I had to get the card too. So I had a little homeboy named Tweedle that I would take him debit cards, and Tweedle's a white guy, so nobody would ever look at him. And and Tweedle would go to Walgreens or HEB or Walmart, and he would use that debit card to buy as many Visa gift cards as he can. You make one purchase. He might go get 10, 15 Visa gift cards. Even if that doesn't max out that debit card. He just go get 10 or 15. And if it lets him do it, then he's going to get them all. If it doesn't, he'll be like, oh, take some off. But either way it goes, he's going to get as many $100 Visa gift cards as he can with that. And then he uses those for everything. That way he's not constantly swiping that debit card. He only used that debit card one time, which makes it a lot harder to track with than somebody that's constantly out swiping debit cards, swiping debit cards, swiping debit cards. And so all that shit's going on. And then here's where the big money came to the mix, which all this is relevant because, like, you don't just do a jewelry heist like I did for the amount of money that I did just all of a sudden for no reason. You know what I mean? You don't just do that big ass crime that I did out of the blue. Now, you have to build up to something like this. You have to build confidence for something like this, unless you're a reckless ass motherfucker. That's why this is all important, y'all. And we're almost done already. So, not real close, but we're not far either. And so, the first thing that started on this journey was I forgot what I had did. Oh, I remember what I had did. I had did that same thing, and I had ended up jacking somebody's bag or something like that, or stealing a bag or something that didn't know whose name was Kane. That had a bag or something like that, and it had like $5,000 in it, in a $6,000 or $7,000 Rolex in it. Whoever it was, I think they were going on a trip, and they were loading their car up, and I saw them do it, and I ran over there, got him for the shit, dipped off, and it had like $5,000 in a Rolex in it. And so let me tell you something. Anytime you fucking steal, you're not gonna come up off of that because you don't respect it. You're not gonna come up off stealing. You think you might? That shit's gonna bite you eventually. You're gonna fuck it off. It's gonna come back and get taken from you from somebody else. You're gonna get locked up. Something is going to happen where you are not gonna really come up if you do some shit like that. That's karma. That's period. So what ended up happening was, this was like the second or third time I had did shrooms. So I hit that lick, and I immediately hit up my boy Clint, and I'm like, let's go to Austin. I want to buy a pound of mushrooms. I don't know what you're talking about, Samir. But anyway, so we go do that. I fuck off all that money. But now I done tasted having all that money. And so right after that, a friend of mine pops up. I had took a friend of mine to Austin. I had told him about the trip I went to go get the shrooms. So another friend of mine shows up and was like, hey, I got $2,000. Let's go get some shrooms right now. Let's go to Austin and get some shrooms. Matter of fact, my friend's name that wanted to go to Austin, his name was Austin. So Austin wanted to go to Austin to get some shrooms. And I'm like, all right, I know how to do it. I know the plug to get at. And so we set up the trip. Well, when we get to Austin, I'm wondering where he's getting all this money, because Austin doesn't have a job. Austin doesn't hustle. Austin just smokes weed. That's all he does. So I'm like, Austin, where are you getting this money from? And eventually he tells me, he says, Pops. Pops has all this money. Pops is Austin's next door neighbor. Pops is maybe at this time, maybe a 75-year-old man. He's gay, which is only relevant to him because he always reminds you of it, because nobody else really cares about it. But he's gonna remind you all the time. And he can't even function. He has a fucking insulin pump that's hooked up to him. That's how sick he is. But he also does drugs the whole time and spends money. He lives next door to Austin, and he has a crush on Austin, even though Austin's not gay. And so he spends money. He really can't do anything sexually anyway. So he gives money to Austin, spends money on Austin all the time, just because he wants Austin to be around him to get his perverted rocks off. What's up, Lakim? Fam, peace, raw house of intuition. Anyway, and so he's like, man, Pops. He said Pops just found out that Pops has some oil fields or some oil rigs, and he gets checks of $20,000 every month. He's like, Pops gave me $2,000, but he was like, I'm telling you now, Pops has $10,000 on him right now at his house. And I was like, word? He's like, word? I said, man, we finna rob the shit out of Pops when we get back. And he's like, yeah, whatever. I don't think he thought I was serious. And so when we get back, I tell him straight up, hey, go to Pop's house. I'm gonna come over there. I want to figure it out. Do you know where that money is? He's like, yeah, I think he was like, it's in his safe. And he was like, Austin was like, the funny thing is, Pops likes me so much that my hand opens up the safe. He let me put my handprint as the safe opener. And he don't want to mess up his money. What's up, Angela? And he don't want to mess up his own money. And so he says, my hand opens up the safe. I'm like, bet. So we gonna go over there. We gonna chill. You open up the safe. You give me the money. And then we'll be done with it. And we'll just act like we don't know what happened. And he like, okay, we can try that. So we get over there. We chill for like an hour. He opens up the safe. He's like, the money's not in the safe. Like, what? And I'm looking around. I'm watching. I'm trying to see what's happening. And then I'm like, Pops, you want some weed? He's like, yeah, I want some weed. He goes in his pocket. He pulls out a $100 bill, hands it to me. I go get him some weed. I come back. I'm watching him. He keeps pulling $100 bills out of his pocket. So I'm now watching his pants. I notice he has a fucking knot. And Pops' leg is probably this big around. And he doesn't wear baggy jeans. You feel me? I notice Pops has a knot on his leg like this. I'm like, he has all that money on him. And so, first thing, and it doesn't matter. I'm trash at that time anyway. All of this shit is fucking trash. But in my trashness, I'm not a violent person. So my mind did run. He was like, I can't rob him because first of all, I'm not a violent person. Second of all, the thing with Pops is, if I were to pull a gun or try to rob him forcefully, I know him. All he's gonna do is say, kill me. He's gonna say, kill me, motherfucker. I'm already sick. I'm gay. Don't nobody like me. Kill me. He's gonna make you kill him. If you try to rob him, he's not gonna give it up. He is going to make you kill him. And so I'm like, plan B. I'm like, Pops, let's drink. I want to get drunk. I haven't drank in a while. And he's like, oh, you want to get drunk? I'm like, yeah. He's like, fuck it. He gives me $200 bills. He's like, keep the change. Go get whatever you want to drink. We're going to get fucking wasted. So we get back. We go get the liquor. We come back. I'm giving everybody double shots of vodka, double shots of rum. I'm taking double shots of water. I'm giving everybody double shots of vodka. I'm giving everybody double shots of rum. I'm taking double shots of water. After about an hour or two, everybody but me and Pops is sleep, crashed the fuck out. They're out of there. And so, yeah, cancer manipulation, trash. And so Pops, he is fucking leaning like this. But that motherfucker ain't going to sleep. He's still drinking. What ended up happening was I fall asleep before Pops. I end up passing out trying to wake him out. Next thing you know, I'm waking up with a start. I wake up. Everything's dark. Everything's quiet. I know everybody's asleep. So all I got to do is find Pops. Because in my head, I'm thinking, wherever he is knocked out, passed the fuck out drunk with that money in his pocket. All I got to do is go in his pocket while he's asleep, take the money out, and it won't be anything. Or I might be lucky. He might have took his pants off and got into the bed, and the shit would just be laying right there. And so I go into the room. That motherfucker's not in the room. I go looking around the house. This motherfucker is nowhere to be. Nah, that shit ain't cool, whatever at all, Reefer. I'm telling this story to tell you what not to do in life and to speak on the negativity of what I used to be, and so that I can feel, confident in the fact that shit right there is no longer a part of my character. That shit right there is somebody that I don't even recognize anymore. So I don't want you to say Cancer Ken, not bro. I love you. I know you just be having fun, but this shit right here is trash. This shit right here is fucking trash. All of this shit that I did is fucking trash. And that's the reason why I'm speaking on it. Because for me, accountability is always the first step. If you can't pull your head out of your own ass and hold yourself accountable, hey, that's the thing of it. So, anyway, I get frustrated like, fuck it. So I'm getting ready to leave. As I'm walking by the bathroom, I hear a sound. I look in the bathroom. There's Pops. There's Pops. Sleep on the toilet. Head between his legs. Arms at his side. He is assed out, and you can just see that money sticking out of his pocket. So, I go over there, stick my hand in his pocket, I pull out a wad of $100 bills like this. I'm talking about my hand couldn't even hold it. I just stick it out like that, put it in my pocket. I go next door. Austin had left because he lives next door. I went next door. I knocked on Austin's window. He came to the window. I handed him the money and was like, hold that into the morning. Boom. I hand it to Austin. I go back. I lay back down, go to sleep. I wake up to all the tripping about the money. I'm still there. The money's not there, so it couldn't have been me. Pops tells me, go get your gun. I want you to shake down everybody that comes to this motherfucker because somebody stole my money. I go get my money. I go get my gun. I'm shaking down everybody that come to his house. And I'm the one that got the money. So watch the people close to you. Watch that motherfucker that wants to help you look for your shit. Watch the motherfucker that seems like they just care so much about your situation, because that's the motherfucker that probably got you in that situation. And so that happens. And that makes me a little bit more bold. I got $10,000 now. I fucked that off too. I try to come up in the crack game and I can't. I can't. I think I'm finna ball out of control, but I can't. I can't. When you steal, you're not gonna come up. I'm fucking it off. I'm fucking it off. And really all I wanted to do was look successful to my ex-wife. She wasn't even my ex-wife at the time, to my wife that was divorcing me at the time. So it looked like I was really doing something. To make it really look like I was doing something. There's that Pisces moon trying to make shit appear a certain way. There's that Neptune in the third house that's trying to make shit appear a certain way. Especially in Capricorn. That's trying to make it seem like I got my shit together. And so, here's where it gets worse. I end up tripping out and jumping on the dude that my ex-wife was dating. I go pistol whip him, hit him with a gun a couple of times, beat him up. And so she gets mad and tells me to stay away from over there. I can't even see my child. So that makes it worse. I end up meeting this chick that I had a crush on, that I basically, since like high school, since we were like 15, I end up meeting her in the game somehow and falling in with her. She's a Sagittarius, and that's important. And to make it, I'm not going to get into a long story short with her, but me and her, like, I'm living at my friend's, like, I'm comfortable. My friend lets me have free reign of the house. But she convinces me, like, hey, nah, me and you are meant to be. We start fucking around within 2-3 weeks. I move in with her. I move in with her on that Cancer, on that water sign shit. I move in with her. Well, I think she thought I was on because I had hit that lick and I was having all this money. But like I said, looks can be deceiving. So she get me over there to her house and I'm really not doing shit. I'm really not doing shit. But smoking weed and hanging around with hustling motherfuckers and acting like I'm hustling. Because I'm selling dope, but I'm doing everything else too. I'm doing all kinds of shit. Spending all my money at the strip club. I'm spending all my money getting high. I'm you know what I mean? Just fucking shit off. And so I don't really know what happened internally with her, but in true Sagittarius fashion, one day it was good and she was talking about, I want to have a baby, put a baby in me. And the next day she was like, hey, this isn't working out. So I think we moved a little bit too fast. So you need to go back wherever you came from. And it happened to be her birthday too. So, you know, she was a Sagittarius. The grass wasn't green on this side. So she had to go see what was going on the other side. That's the thing about Sagittarius that's real. A Sagittarius will switch up on your ass. You can, all of y'all Sagittarius here can say, no, I won't. Yes, the fuck you will. Yes, you will. Just like I had every right to be switched up on because I wasn't shit. But just like I'm telling y'all the low vibration of Cancer, the low vibration of Pisces moon, I'm telling y'all what goes on with a black moon Lilith in the 8th house in Gemini, I'm also going to tell y'all that a Sagittarius should switch up on y'all. But basically, that shit broke my heart. Hurt my ego, broke my heart. Like, and that's the first time that shit had happened to me, regardless of how many times I have fucked over everybody else. And so I go back to my partner's house. I got to show back up at my partner's house where I was staying before. And I had to say, hey man, they're like, that shit didn't work out with old girl. What, Shamir? Hey, that shit didn't work out with old girl. Can I come home? And he didn't really want me to come home, but like, yeah. And so here's where it gets good, y'all. I'm at the lowest point that I've ever been at. 2 days after I go home with my best friend, his brother, which is my other best friend, and his wife show up. Sorry, Kane. And his wife show up. I'm keeping it true. But my partner and his wife show up staying there. So now we got all these people living in a 1-bedroom apartment where when it was 2 people, it was kind of cool because he had his room and everything else belonged to me. But now it's 4 of us in this fucking 1-bedroom, including a couple that steals from each other and fights and acts crazy and be hitting on each other and all kinds of shit. You got 2 Aries in a relationship. And so now that shit is just getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. It doesn't matter if you're Sagittarius. Sagittarius are awesome, but they will switch up on your ass. And so there's more. And so somehow, I don't even really know what happened, y'all, and everything else. I'm just in a really low point. But I had went to this jewelry store in my hometown called J. Shea Jewelers. And when I'm in the jewelry store, I'm talking to the jeweler. I don't even know why. I was going there maybe planning to steal something, but I'm just really just going in there talking to him. And so I'm in there talking to the jeweler at the store, and while I'm there, he slipped up. He pulled out every fucking piece of jewelry in the fucking store and just laid it on the cabinet. I mean, he pulled out every piece of jewelry in the store, and he's just talking to me, and he just letting me, He just let me hold 10, 15, $20,000 rings in my hand. And he's just talking to me. He's just trusting everybody. And I'm sitting here looking at him like, this dude is crazy. So he let me hold a $50,000 yellow diamond ring that has a diamond on it that big around. And didn't even trip about it. Didn't even trip about it. I'm like, this motherfucker tripping. And so, in the process of all that, I drop a ring on the ground. It was like a $5,000 ring at store value. Understand, jewelry store value is marked up like 10 times what it's worth for real. The appraisal worth. That's what the store is charging for their craftsmanship or for their work or for a third-party source, whatever it may be. And so, I dropped like a $5,000 ring on the ground. Yeah. While it's on the ground, I scoop it up with my foot, put it in my shoe. He never notices that I know of that ring was missing. He puts all the jewelry back. I never leave either. I got this ring in my foot the whole time. He puts all the jewelry back, puts all the cases back, continues talking to me for like 15 minutes. I walk out the store, I leave. I pull that ring out. It's a fucking $5,000 ring. And I'm like, whoa. And I'm like, man, and I guess I just categorize it in my mind. I'm just like, that's crazy. And I put it away in the back of my mind. I go to my sister's apartment and I show one of my big homies from my hood, one of the big Crip homies, that ring. I'm like, man, look, I got that from J. Shea Jewelers. I got that from J. Shea Jewelers. And he was like, nigga, you didn't steal that ring from you ain't stole nothing. You ain't got shit from J. Shea. And I was like, nigga, I got their ass. And he was like, whatever. And something in that, maybe that stroked the Mars and Capricorn. Something in that was like a challenge to me. And that shit wasn't healthy. Because he's like, nigga, you telling me that I'm not man enough? Like, I didn't do what you know what I mean? I won't do that. And with that stupid gang mentality, I'm more or less like, oh, I'm finna show them. I'm finna impress him. They got me fucked up. But I still didn't do anything yet. So, fast forward like 2 weeks. Fast forward for about 2 weeks. And I wake up, right? I've been selling crack. And this morning I wake up, I just feel some type of way. I've been selling crack for years. I see all my homeboys that really sell dope, they own. They got nice cars. They having money. They spend money doing all kinds of stuff that I don't got. Why? Because they hustled harder than me. Even though we're selling drugs, that's fucked up. It's because they worked harder than me. It's because even in the drug game, they did it the right way, if there is a right way. I was living fucked up. So I wake up this morning, I feel some type of way. I got maybe $300 to my name. I had just hit a lick for $10,000. Don't got nothing. I ain't on. I thought that was going to make me the biggest man around. I thought that shit was going to change my whole world. I ain't got shit but $300 to show for it. And instead of thinking, no, this shit has got to stop. I need to change my life. In that negative lifestyle with that Black Moon, Lilith, and Gemini, the first thing that popped in that Black Moon, you know what I'm saying? The first thing that popped in my head was that jewelry store. Like, motherfucker, you might as well he did it. And it just popped in my head, the vision of him being, bringing all those pieces of jewelry out. And I was like, no, you crazy. You crazy, but I couldn't shake it from my head while I was getting dressed. And so I just told myself, I said, hey, man, what you finna do is you finna go spend every bit of money you have. You finna spend all the rest of the money you have. You finna go what they call re-up. That means buy some more dope to sell. And so I'm like, man, I'm finna go re-up and I'm gonna go hard to the end of the day. If I ain't came up by the end of the day. If I ain't flipped the script by the end of the day, I'm finna go hit that jewelry store. And so I set out. I go to the projects. I go buy me some dope. I hustle all motherfucking day long. At the end of the day, I got a handful of crack and $80. And it's like 4 o'clock. And I said, fuck this. So I called up my homeboy from New York, and we just called him New York. That's how you kind of do. When you're not from wherever you're from, they're gonna, you know what I'm saying? If you're in a city that you're not from, like they're gonna call you whatever city you're from. That's usually gonna become your nickname. If you live in Texas and you're from Miami, they're gonna call you Miami. If you live in Miami, you're from Texas, they might call you Tex. You feel me? That's the way of the hood. If you're in prison, if whatever town you're from, if there's not a lot of people from that town, they'll probably call you that. So if you like me from Abilene, Texas, they're gonna say, hey, what's up, Abilene? What's up, Abilene? So anyway, I call up my friend New York. I'm like, hey, bro, I got something I want to do, but I just need you to drive for me. Is you down? He's like, yeah. And see, I used to wear my baby face all the time. On this day, that morning, I had purposely not shaved just in case I came to this point. So I had a plan. What I was going to do was, I was going to go put on a polo shirt, put on some slacks. I hadn't shaved, so my face was furrier. And I was going to put some Band-Aids on my face right. And I did. I put some Band-Aids on my face right here. And what's outside of Houston? Anyway, I put some Band-Aids on my face right here. And I was just going to go see what's going to happen in that jewelry store. I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but I was just going to have them park on the outside, and I was going to see what was going to go happen. And so, here it goes. I went in that bitch. When I went in that bitch, it was just like last time. It was just like the time before that. When I get in there, we start talking. We start talking. We start chopping it up. I had like $80 that looked, because it's dope money, there's 5s and 1s and all that shit. It looked like way more money than it was. So I have a little money in my pocket. I'm telling him I'm looking for a ring. He once again pulls out every piece of fucking jewelry in the store. Especially, or really, he pulled out all of the women's engagement rings, because that's what I was talking about. 4 or 5 trays full of rings, probably like 25 rings a piece on each one of these trays. Bam, 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 bam. The register, I don't know why it happened to be. Everything is all well, Isaac. I don't know why it happened to be, but the register is just sitting open too. So we're standing there, and let's just say this is a cabinet right here, and it's just this wide, y'all. And so there's 4 trays of rings. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm on this side. He's on that side. The door is literally 2 steps away from me. 2 steps away from me. And so we're talking, and he's showing me rings. And he'll pick up a ring. He'll pick up a ring. And I'll pick up a ring. And he'll pick up a ring, and he be explaining the ring he's talking about, and I'll be looking at a ring while he's doing it. He looking at a ring, I'll be looking at a ring. And so it gets to a point where he's done it so many times, he's done it too many times, and I tell myself in the head, like, oh, what's trash is when somebody thinks you're gullible or think that you're somebody that can be preyed upon, they'll say, you're good. So I say, oh, in my head, I'm like, oh, he good. He good. I got him. So I tell myself in my head, if he does that shit again, I'm finna get him. I'm finna get him. I'm telling y'all the negative side of cancer right now, Samir. And so, but this is more of that Black Moon Lilith in Gemini, and that's stealing. And in the 8th house, that's stealing. And so, he does it. I say, if he does it again, I'm going to get him. And that motherfucker does it. I said, what about that one? He picks up a ring and looks at it. And when he picks up the ring and looks at it, I just looked at him. I reached over into the register, which was right by my arm right here. I reached over. I grabbed all the money that my hand could grab right there out of the register. Wham, like that. And I just grabbed 3 trays of rings like that. I said 1, 2, 3. And just walked right out the door. I didn't run. I didn't say anything. I just grabbed it. It was just, he was looking at the ring talking. So I got the boom. And then just 1, 2, 3. And just walked out the door. Swoop. I get 3 steps out the door and I hear him yell, "Help me!" And by that time, I just ran like 4 steps, jumped in the car. We ran home. I mean, we drove to my house. We drove to my house. I shaved. I put on my regular clothes. And I was like, hey, let's drive around there a couple more times, see what happened. We went and drove around the jewelry store 4 or 5 times. I didn't see any cops, which they obviously had to come, but I didn't see any cops. And we dipped out. No, this wasn't in Austin. This was in Abilene. It's Googleable. I didn't see any cops. And so I'm like, yeah. And so I called up a friend of mine, Miguel. And I'm like, hey, bro, I got something I want to show you. Just stay there. And he's like, all right. Miguel is the coke plug, basically. They were all women's. These were all, I got like $3,000 in cash out of that register. Understand it's a jewelry store. There's only hundreds. So I got like $3,000 in cash out the register. And then I got I ended up dropping one. I got 2.5 trays of rings. All right, so 60 rings. The cheapest ring on there at store value was $5,000. The most expensive one at store value was $15,000. So like, and there was sets, you know, the wedding ring sets with the ring and with the band and the ring. Like there was a lot. I got the whole trays. And so I caught over 50. It was over $100,000 later on. I didn't get that much, but that my case was $120,000 when I ended up getting in trouble for it, which we're gonna get to that here in a second. We almost to the end of this shit. And so I called up Miguel and I tell him I want something to show you. So on my way to Miguel's, I start assessing. I start, what do you mean you're still trying to understand, Samir? The shit to understand is don't be fucking trash. Change your life. The priceless knowledge is, hey man, you can be that what I was back in the day, and then you can be what I am now. You can be something completely different because I don't even conduct myself in any way, form, or fashion. Anything like that. I wouldn't take a piece of bubble gum from fucking nobody. I'm here trying to help people change their life on a fucking daily basis, man. Period. Don't be, the priceless knowledge, don't be fucking trash. The priceless knowledge is you are not your placements. The priceless knowledge is you don't have to live in the low vibration of any fucking sign, placement, or any energy that you have going on with you. It's up to you what you do with it. Just because you build like that, you don't have to build like that. That's the priceless knowledge. Now, back to regular schedule program. So, I hit up Miguel. When I go to Miguel, understand y'all, I have $3,000. But I show up, he immediately, I'm not going to go into the hard details, but he's flabbergasted like, what the fuck you done did, nigga? He buys 3 rings off of me. Right then, I make another $10,000 from him, and I get like I don't know, maybe 20 or 30 grams of cocaine because that's all he had left. Maybe some more than that, and then like 100 ecstasy pills. So the party done started. And so I immediately, as soon as he gives me that, we go out of town. We go to Lubbock, go to the strip club, fuck it off. And then after that, I'm meeting people on the cool, and I figured the system. I was going to sell the rings, even though no matter how much they were worth, it doesn't matter. Okay, you have to understand, I had maybe 60 rings. Maybe 60 rings. And so I was like, man, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell these motherfuckers at either $1,000 or $500 if they buy 2 of them. Yeah, it goes half price if you buy 2. You can get 2 for $1,000. You can buy 1 for $1,000, or you get 2 for, or something like $750. I think that's off. I don't know. My numbers are off of that, but that's beside the fact. And so, to make a long story short with that, I ended up making $40,000 in 6 days, cash. $40,000. And at that time, it was time to start partying. And so I called this homeboy, and this is relevant to me getting caught or me going to prison. I called this friend of mine up, Seth. And I'm like, Seth, bro, I wanna go out and party, man. I'm trying to live it up. But I got this Cadillac. I hear you, Mr. Atlas. I got this fucking Cadillac, and I'm gonna get pulled over. Seth is white. Seth has a big dually truck. Seth be peeling out at lights and nobody even fucks with him, which is fucked up. But that's the system that we live in. So I'm like, I want to ride with you, bro. They're not gonna fuck with us if I'm with you. And he like, yeah. And so he come get me. He still don't know what I did, but me and Seth, we start partying. And we start going to towns all over Texas, partying up, acting like we balling, and getting high doing cocaine and ecstasy like it ain't shit. I remember at one point, man, it's all gravy. What's up, Star? It's all gravy, Kane. But I remember at one point, man, I was doing so much ecstasy and cocaine that I was sitting there and my heart was going brrr, and it was stopping. It was going brrr, brrr. Like that bitch was fluttering and I could feel it. I did not feel right. And I remember I was so far gone, I had so much money, I had so much of that shit that I was just like, when I felt my heart doing that, what's crazy, my only answer for that was, I better snort another motherfucking line. I mean, that's real. Like, I better snort another motherfucking line. So and went back to dying, basically. But anyway, the plot thickens and goes for a twist when we go back to Abilene. And Seth tells me, he was like, we had spent so much money, we were having a good time. He's like, hey man, I want my homegirl Brittany to go with us. And I don't really know who Brittany is, but I would come to find out. I'm like, okay. I'm like, that's fine, bring her. She don't have no other homegirls? He's like, nah, it's just her. She doesn't hang out with girls. It's just my friend. And I'm like, this is your girlfriend? He's like, no, it's not my girlfriend. She's my friend, Brittany. And so I'm like, all right. But the truth of the matter is, Brittany's not his girlfriend. She is just his friend, but he has a humongous crush on her. He likes her a lot. And he only wants her to come because we're spending so much money and we're splurging. And so he wants her to be a part of this. He's getting high. He wants, he's on some lovey-dovey shit. He wants me to spend my money on his girl too, which is fine. I was having it my way with whatever I was doing. And so He brings Brittany with us. We go out of town for a week. Well, we go hard for like the first 6 days. The first 5 days. On that 6th day, like we're getting ready to go to the strip club. We're getting high, and Seth is like, I don't want to go. Y'all go. He's like, I'm sleep. I'm tired. I want to sleep. I'm going to stay at the hotel. I'm going to sleep. We've been doing drugs, fucking getting high every night. I want to sleep. And I'm like, all right, bet. So he stayed at the hotel. Me and Brittany go to the strip club, just me and her. We get high the whole night. We sitting there, and at some point, she gets up from where she was sitting. Even though he likes her, she comes, sits on my lap, and like, I've been trying to get along with you this whole time. I like you. She starts kissing on me, and like, in true thought fashion, I don't know if, I am better, and it's not me being conceited. Seth is a weirdo, kind of, and, I understand he was like really pushing up on her, but more or less, like, either she really just liked me, or she saw that I was the one with the money, so she's doing a true thought move, and so she trying to get even more in with me. You know what I'm saying? Trying to put that thing on me because I'm the one with the money. And so that goes down. We get back to the hotel room, high on that shit. We don't even pay attention. Seth is asleep. We end up doing it right on the bed with Seth in the bed. We end up passing out at some point. I remember waking up, and Seth is packing up everything. He's like, I need to go home. And I need to take her home. And I automatically, with my empathy, I already know what's going on. And my intuition, I know what's going on with him. He saw everything. But he probably was too much of a pussy to say anything about it. And he doesn't have a place to say anything about it. And so, but his feelings are hurt. And so, we get home. This is how it all ends right here, y'all. So, we drive back to Abilene. He takes her home. He says that, hey, it's a Friday. He's like, I'm going to go to my parents' house, take a shower. I'm going to go stay home for the weekend. And then on Monday or Sunday, whichever one you want, we could take back off again if you want. And I'm like, bet. So we get back to my hometown. I call my girlfriend. I know I'm trifling. I call my girlfriend. And I'm like, hey, I'm in town. Come spend the night with me come chill with me at the hotel. She's like, all right. So she comes spend the night with me at the hotel. And that's only relevant because of this. The next day, she tells me, I'm going to go look for a job. I'll be back in a little bit. I'll call you. Bet. So I'm sitting in the hotel room chilling. I get a call. It's my girl. And she answered the phone. She say, Roger. She said, you robbed a jewelry store? I said, no. What the fuck? Where the fuck did you get that from? And she's like, man, I'm on the news website, which is called bigcountryhomepage.com. She said, I'm on the bigcountryhomepage.com looking for a job. And she said, and boom, your face just popped up with a Crime Stoppers ad on it. And they're offering $2,000 for a reward for you. Said you robbed a jewelry store. I said, what? And so my heart. So I said, come get me. I said, come get me. Come get me right now. She's like, wow, what are you doing? I said, because I'm on probation. I'm like, I didn't rob no jewelry store. There's no way. And she said, nah. She said, you did. And she said, I'll come get you though. So she takes me up. We go to the courthouse where the probation office is. My crazy ass gets out at the probation office. I go walk all through there. I'm trying to see if somebody's gonna stop me or if I'm really wanted like that. Cause like she's saying, I hadn't seen the ad. I don't have the internet at that time. And so she's like, I come back out, I get in the car, she's surprised I get back in. I'm like, man, ain't nobody looking for me. I'm like, you sure? She's like, man, why the fuck would I make that up? I'm like, that's crazy. And so I'm like, man, take me back to the hotel. She takes me back to the hotel. As soon as I get back to the hotel, my phone rings. I answer it. I'm like, hello? I'm like, who is this? They said, oh, this is Mike. I said, I don't know a Mike. He's like, hey, what's up with some of those rings you got? I said, man, I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. Don't call my phone anymore. I hung up. And then it started to come. I'm like, oh, shit, this shit is falling apart, y'all. And so, it wasn't her. It wasn't her. And so, I start calling Seth back to 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 back. Seth would not answer the phone. I call Seth's mama house. His mama answered the phone. His mama answered the phone. I said, this is Roderick. She hangs up on me. I'm like, what? And so, to sum it all up with that part, to how I ended up going to prison was, I get a call at like 6:30 that night. Nah, she didn't turn me in. I get a call, and it's the police. It's a detective. He straight up says it's a detective. I hang up on him. I throw my cell phone out the window. The hotel room phone. As soon as I hang up and throw my cell phone out the window, the hotel room phone starts ringing back to 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 back. And I'm like, oh shit. And so I finally answer the phone. It's the cops. They tell me that they know what they know. They say obviously they've called the hotel room. They say, hey, we know where you're at, but we don't want to pay. The detective tells me we don't want to pay for a hotel room door. So if you don't turn yourself in by 7 o'clock tonight, we're gonna come get you. And I'm like, all right, yes, sir. And so I hang up. I call a friend of mine he died of a heroin overdose named Deli. I call my friend Deli. I'm like, Deli, man, I'm in this predicament. And I tell him what happened. He's like, I could get you out of there. I know who works at the hotel. And so Deli calls a lady that works at the desk. They end up getting me out of their hotel. But I get away. I get in the car. I get with him. But something started eating up inside of me. Something started eating up inside of me to where I was like, man, like you can't run forever in your life, man. Like you gonna have to deal with this shit. And then like something else settled in. Like, what happens? I'm already running out of money. What happens when that money runs out? What happens then? Because I didn't get a jewelry heist. I can't run. I can't go back to where I was staying at. The laws have been to my house. There's nowhere I can go. I've been living with people for all this time. I've been with people for all this. I mean, I've been living with people for all this time. Like, man, that's probably the best thing for me. And so I called my girl. I told her that, hey, come pick me up. Ain't nobody finna make no money off of me. I said, come pick me up. She came and picked me up. I told her, take me to the police station. And I know it sounds stupid to a lot, but there's nothing I could do. I was at the end of my string, and it was time to hold myself. It was time to change my life. It was time to do something else. And she picked me up. She came and got me. She gave me a kiss. I walked in there in that police station, and I turned myself in. They took me in. They took me into the interrogation room. They started asking me a whole bunch of questions. I asked them straight. I said, hey, man, am I under arrest or not? They said, yes. I said, well, then take me to the jail. Why am I at the police station? Y'all ain't nothing for us to talk about. If I'm under arrest, there's nothing. Unless me talking to y'all is finna get me up out of here. Nah, take me to the jail. And so, here's the thing. As we get there, the officer that comes to transport me to the jail shows up. And as he shows up, it's the officer that I know from my hood that I grew up in. And he knows me. He's known my family. He's arrested me many times before. And he sees me and he just shakes his head. He said, Turner, you got a kid, don't you? I said, yeah. And he said, hey, I'm going to tell you now. He said, every news crew in town is outside. You done did it for real this time. He said, there ain't no way to avoid it. You are going to be on the news. And I said, well, sir, could you think you could let me smoke a cigarette first before I have to deal with that? And he said, you know what, Turner, I know you. He said, I'll take you outside. I'll let you smoke as many cigarettes as you want. I'll cuff you in the front. I'll take you outside and let you smoke as many cigarettes as you want. But when you get done smoking, you got to face the music. And I said, yes, sir. So he took me out the side door, cuffed me to the front. I smoked 3 Newports back to back. And I was like, let's go. But as we went around there, I seen all them news crews. I did something that was stupid as hell, y'all. Because I did something instead of not drawing attention to myself, instead of just keeping my hands cuffed and walking to the car quietly like I should, I took my sweater that I had on, put it over my head like this. So they walking me to the police car like this. I don't want anybody to see my face. I'm ashamed. I did that to myself because it's stupid. Which is only relevant because of this. When I got to the jail and I got booked into the jail, when they sent me to my cell, when you get sent to your jail cell, you're going to have to walk down the rows of cells of people that are already in jail that you know. And so as soon as I hit the hallway or the run at the jail, tell me why everybody's standing at the bars like this. Everybody scream, Diamond! All these niggas is standing at the bars like this. And so I went to jail for 8 months. I had basically fucked off all that money. I couldn't afford to bond out. My bond was $185,000. And to be honest with y'all, I had reached the end of my road. And I told my dad came to visit me, my stepmom came to visit me, and I told him that. I told him straight up, like, man, do y'all realize that I know where the fuck I'm going to sleep at tonight? I know I'm okay tonight. I said, as parents, y'all might have should have known that I was going through that. But do y'all understand that I'm better off here than I would have been anywhere else at this moment of time in my life? And so the fucked up part is, because the legal system is so fucked up in Texas, I stayed in the county jail I got arrested in February. I didn't go to court until October. And they were, you said, what are some of the astronomical indications of being put in jail? I said earlier, that Pisces moon. That 12th house. Having your chart ruler in the 12th house could signify that. There's a lot. But through the process of my case, like, because I had already turned myself in, because I had confessed, I never had any leverage with the legal system. I never had a shot at fighting my case or them giving me a little bit of amount of time. As soon as I got there, they offered me $50 as 50 years, $50, 50 years as a plea deal. 50 motherfucking years as a plea deal right off the rip. I said, hell no. I didn't rob anybody. I stole it. It was a theft case. I stole $100,000 worth of jewelry. Y'all are just mad because y'all didn't get none of that money back. And that's true. Because they would pull me aside and say things like, the judge would tell me, hey, if you could just return 2 or 3 of those rings, we'll give you 5 years. They told me if I told them where the money and rings were, they would give me 2 years instead of offering me 50. But the fact of the matter was, I had fucked that shit off. I had fucked that shit off. So they were trying to get leverage for shit that I didn't have. Like, they wanted that money and that jewelry so fucking bad. They were so upset that I got to spend that money and that I had fucked that shit off. That they would show me in paper like, hey, if you just give us some of the property back, we'll give you 2 years. But I didn't have any of the property. I didn't have no motherfucking money. And so it finally boiled down to, they came in and they offered me 10 years in prison and 2 18-month sentences running concurrently for some other charges, for the charges I was already on probation for. And I said no. Drugs and tricking and trying to live an image, Malcolm Wilson. Pussy. Anyway. Yeah, Pisces. My Pisces moon is in the 5th house. But yeah. Anyway, so they offered me 10 years and 2 18-month sentences running concurrently with it. And I said no. I said, I'm going to let the judge sentence me. It's called an open plea. I said, fuck this. Y'all lawyers are trying to fuck me. I'm going to let the judge sentence me. Well, do y'all know that when I said that, like, my lawyer went out and left me in there, and 5 minutes later, there's a knock on the door. You knock on the door, the judge sticks his head in the door and says, Mr. Turner, you better take that 10 or I'm going to give you 20. So I told the motherfuckers, where's the pen? Signed for 10 years of my life in prison in Texas. The worst prison system in America. And off I went. And what's fucked up about it is, hey, I did the crime, but man, child molesters get probation. That was my first offense, felony, as an adult. I should have got offered probation, but I didn't. The judge should not have came in there. First of all, it is against the law for the judge. That is coercion. They cannot make me take anything. He cannot tell me, you better take this time or I'm going to give you this time. That's coercion. That's forcing me into taking time. But I don't have a video camera in there in that back room at the courthouse. It's my word against the judges. They're not gonna believe my black ass. I'm just a little nigga that's been getting in trouble my whole life. That's all they gotta say. But that's all right. Because let me tell y'all something. I spent 6 years of my life flat in that prison. I went in that day. I didn't get out till 6 years later. And while that's the worst thing that can happen to a lot of people, that's the best thing that ever fucking happened to me. See, the thing about prison is it gives you a permission to be a worse motherfucker than you were before. You see, the thing about prison is it's tricky. Because when you go in there, you're gonna go in there with people who see the honor in being a criminal. A lot of people get worse in prison because they're just going in there and learning how to do it better. And then also, the bad thing about prison is in prison, everybody's a baller. In prison, everybody was the dope dealer, was nobody the dope fiend. Was nobody the dope fiend. You got everybody lying, exaggerating, puffing themselves up. So that shit right there, all it does is instill ambition in you. All that does is make you want to be a badder drug dealer. All that does is make you want to sell more dope, be better at what you were doing before. Like, nah, man, I'm trying to get on like he was on. This motherfucker showing me all these pictures of him in these cars, showing him all the shit that the government done took from him. All that stupid shit. All that stupid shit. But for me, it was different. See, for me, I had experienced my mama's love. For me, all that happened with prison for me was I pulled my head out of my own ass. I started holding myself accountable. I came to the realization that, damn, I'm a really good person. I don't belong around these people. I don't think the same as them. I did not belong in prison, but I did deserve to be there. I didn't belong around these people, but I deserve to be there. And that's an interesting predicament to be in. And only I could do something about it. Only I could do something about that. So what I do? I pulled my head out of my own ass. I started holding myself accountable. I started letting myself know that you trash, bro. You are somebody that not to be trusted. Nigga, you disrespected your mama. You disrespected yourself. You want to be a dope dealer and a gangster. You couldn't even do that right. You fucked that money off. You stole from people that were there to help you. Your family don't even want to fuck with you because you're smarter. You're more in tune. You have all the talent, more talent than anybody else in the family, but you want to do fuck shit. Nah, nigga, you want to live in the, you want to do some crazy shit. You want to be in the streets. You had lost your wife, and the thing is, that was my high school sweetheart, y'all. Like, I used to say that was my girl before she was even my girl. I used to lie and tell people that was my girlfriend just because I wanted to be with her so bad. So I grew up and ended up marrying her. And then I fucked that off. Couldn't even see my own child because I wanted to act a fool. My ex-wife had told me, you only want to be a daddy when it's convenient to you. And then she told me, like, motherfucker, you don't want to be a good daddy because you too worried about me. You too worried about what the fuck I got going on with my new dude, that you won't even want to be a daddy to your own kid because you too preoccupied with me. And so I'm like, man. And then I'm realizing that this man is raising my child. And I used to try to fight. I done pistol whip him. I think that's when I first knew I changed, y'all. Because I realized that I'm not doing shit for my baby. I'm in prison. And this man is raising my child. And there ain't nothing I can do about it. And the fact of the matter is, I can't be mad. I can't be mad. All I can be is grateful. Because this man is going out of his way to make sure my baby's all right. So I think the first thing that made me feel like I grow. Now, it wasn't even robbery, Mr. Atlas. I got charged with theft. Theft over $100,000. It's robbery if you forcibly take something from somebody. If he had it in his hand, it would have been robbery. But I took it off the counter. So it is theft. Just like you stole a piece of bubble gum. It just happened to be $100,000 worth of bubble gum. So that's what it's about. But anyway, I just remember that, man, I can't be nothing but grateful. So I just remember I wrote that man. And I was like, hey, bro, I just want to thank you for being there for my child. And I want to apologize for the way I came at you. My daughter, my daughter is so blessed to have you because of the tragedy that is me. And so I went in there. I got certified in the electric trade. I ended up, doing my thing in prison. And I did pretty well in prison other than, fucking around with them female guards. Because I got a lot of attention from them. So it kind of kept me in the crosshairs with the male guards and with rank and with the other inmates. Because they don't like seeing somebody get attention from females. I don't like to get, you know what I'm saying? They don't like to see somebody else getting attention where they can. But other than that, like, because of how I carried myself, it wasn't that bad of an experience for me. All I did was learn more about me. All I did was read the whole time. All I did was go more into my knowledge of self. All I did was realize that I was trash. I had wasted so much talent and skills, like I had nothing to be proud of up until that point in my life. Nothing. I didn't have shit to be proud of. I was smarter, more talented than anybody else I know, but I didn't have shit but disrespect for myself to show for it. And so I changed. I became one of the most respected people in there. But I was in there. And so just time would go by and I kept just getting denied for parole for no reason. Because the fact of the matter is, in Texas, parole is like a roll of the dice. It doesn't matter if you're good or bad. It doesn't matter if you got in trouble, if you didn't get in trouble. It just matters if they decide to let you, if the board decides that you fit within their metrics of letting out at that time. It's a numbers game. And if that region that you're in is letting out people that have certain dynamics in the sociology process that you have. And so I got denied parole 4 times when I done took every class. I done got a trade in there. I'm a fucking certified electrician. I'm one of the highest levels of trustees that there is in the whole penitentiary system. I could walk out the fucking gate by myself, but I just kept getting denied for parole. And it just got to a point where I said, look, man, I told myself, and I know you can't make a deal with God or whatever, but I just said, hey, if you let me up out of here, I'll never take a piece of bubble gum that ain't mine again. I can't promise that I'll never do good again. I'll do good for the rest of my life. But I never. Yes, I pray, but my prayer is different. I'm spiritual. I'm not religious, Kane. Like when I studied I studied Islam. I studied Christianity. I studied Hinduism. I studied Buddhism. You know what I mean? And with me, I formulate my own spirituality out of all of that. So, yeah, I prayed. Yeah, I prayed. But more or less, I thought. I prayed sometimes, but more than anything else, I just sat there and hey, motherfucker, ain't no going backwards. I got Pluto in the first house. It ain't no going backwards. Hey, motherfucker. Nah, but I just told myself, hey, man, if these motherfuckers ever decide to let you out of here, you're going to do it whole differently. You're going to be somebody to be respected. You're going to be somebody that your mama would be proud of. You're going to get you back in your daughter's life. And so, I eventually made parole. But the problem was, I was vibrating at a whole different level. I was completely different. But the world that I came out to was still the same. So now I'm at a place. And no, you might think that's true, Reefer Franklins, but I learned like that because I got my son in the 9th house. I learned the hard way. But I did the worst thing you could do, man. I turned to drugs. And I guess that's not a path, that's not a part of my path. Because not long after that I got hit with this spiritual awakening that I'm still going through to this day. Malcolm Wilson, you said, did I ever have to defend myself in there? All the time. I am a gangbanger, bro. As soon as you touch down to prison, especially this, you have to understand, this was 15 years ago now. It doesn't matter what color you are, but the fact of the matter is, I'm gang affiliated, and so when you touch down, you're gonna have to fade what's called a heart check or a quarter check. And so what that means is that you're finna have to fight 2 dudes right off the rip as soon as you get there, just to see if you will fight. So yeah, I'm you know, I look how I look, and so everywhere I go, they gonna want to try me because I look pretty. But you can't let this smooth taste fool you. And so, yeah, there's that. And then there was riots. I was in there for years of my life, bro. The truth of the matter is, if you're in prison, like, that's the most racial place on earth. You know, that's the most racial place on earth. And so, like, a black person and a Mexican person cannot get into an argument. Not audibly, or they have to fight physically. Because that's the only way to make sure that the politics stay okay. Because if y'all argue and y'all don't fight, and there's any type of animosity, then the Mexicans feel some type of way. They're gonna feel like maybe you punked that Mexican, which is gonna be a problem. Or the black people feel some type of way. They're gonna pick at you like, oh, you let that Mexican dude punk you out in there. And then now you got to fear for your life from your own people. So even though it's trash to eliminate politics, if any 2 men in prison where I was at, if they raise their voice at each other, they have to fight. They have to fight. And I, speaking of raising my voice, I am an avid fan of the Dallas Cowboys. An avid fan of the Dallas Cowboys. So a lot of the fights I got into was over the motherfucking Dallas Cowboys. Because if you say something wrong about the Dallas Cowboys, back then I was liable to punch you in your motherfucking mouth. You don't disrespect Tony Romo. And, I mean, there's that bullshit. But really, I didn't get into a tenth of the violent situations as a lot of people do in there because of the way that I carry myself. Because I stick to myself. It doesn't matter if I was gang affiliated at that time, or I had this going on, or I had that going on. I stuck to myself and I read books. I carried myself respectfully. So unless I jumped out of character and I acted out emotionally, which I'm prone to do with my cancer ass, I never got in trouble. I never had no situation. And then when it came to the heart checks, it got to a point where I was later on in my sentence and I had grown up to where if I got moved to a new unit or I got sent somewhere where they were trying to heart check me or where they wanted to fight me just to see if I would fight, I tell them, hey, this is cool. I'll fade whatever y'all shoot my way. If y'all want me to fight, I'm going to fight because I'm not no bitch. I'm not fighting to prove anything to you. I'm fighting because I'm not no bitch. I'm fighting because you're not going to be able to run over me. But I'm telling you this now also. Since you got to put your hands on me to be cool with me, stay the fuck away from me when I get done with this. After this happens, I don't want to be cool with you. I'm going to fight anybody because I'm a man. And I'm not going to let you do anything to me. But I'm not proving shit to you. As a matter of fact, since I have to do this, stay the fuck away from me. I don't give a fuck about you or your game. And if you don't like it, then oh well. Fuck you. And I ended up getting respect like that because motherfuckers know, like, hey man, leave him alone. Leave him alone. He's trying to change for real. Respect that this man is really trying to do something different. He don't want to be like us. This shit ain't fun to him. I used to go tell motherfuckers all the time, like, y'all having fun? Y'all motherfuckers having fun in this bitch? I like pussy. Get the fuck out of here. I don't want to play. I'm here to learn my motherfucking lesson and get past this shit. And that's just what it was. That's just what it was. It's a priceless lesson learned, y'all. I got released from prison on September 10th, 2012. And I ain't looked back since. I've had some struggles. I've had some struggles with addiction in the end. I've had some other shit, but I ain't went backwards. Everything that's happened to me, I've took it in stride. I've learned from it, and I've been better. Tomorrow, I'll be better than I was today. You might not be able to recognize me 3 months from now. And that's real. I'm not somebody that you'll ever be able to say, hey, it's been this is, and I'm still the same. Nah, motherfucker, I'm not going to be the same. I'm going to be different. I'm going to be better. And that's why I'm here for y'all. I want you to be better. I want you to be better. You ain't got to be who you were. I literally have spoken at conferences about spirituality. I've been invited before to go back to the same prisons I've been in. Like, I done lived a crazy life, y'all. But that's all right. Because it don't matter where I came from. I ain't got to be there. Just because I'm built like that, I don't have to build like that. A lot of people would never admit the type of filth they come from. I'm here to tell you. I'm always here to share with y'all. I'm always open from y'all. Even if it horrifies you, even if it turns you off, it might push some people away. But guess what? It's going to bring in some more people that need this help I'm trying to give them. There's a lot. I understand now that I'm special, but I'm not unique. There's a lot of me's out there. It just got to be somebody to show them how to get there. There's a lot of powerful people out there that are living fucked up. And all they need is somebody to believe in them. Y'all believe in me. I tell y'all all the time, the fact that y'all believe in me is all the motherfucking inspiration I need to keep coming every day and showing y'all that I'm different. That's my son, my baby. That's all I need, because he's not going to see that. I hate that my daughter had to see that, but my son, he don't even know that part of me. He has no idea that that person existed that existed before. That's love, Tiara. I appreciate the donation so much. For real. But you already know where you stand with me, Tiara. You my people for real. Like, my baby ain't gonna see that shit. My baby has no idea who the fuck I used to be. You know why? Because I'm not that anymore. Because I choose to show him differently. My baby knows I'm a part of the goddamn PTA. I'm a part of the goddamn PTA. Fuck you doing with your life? I'm the motherfucker now. I'm not the motherfucker that has to take the bullshit. I'm the motherfucker now that's been through so much shit that if I call my stepmom right now, my dad, my sister, and I go to preaching, guess what they gonna do? They gonna shut the fuck up and take this dissertation like my name was Edward Lerner. I ain't bullshitting to you. For real. Like, because they ain't nothing they can say. But yeah, we know. We know. I can't say that cancers do make great parents, but there's some fucked up cancer parents too, because cancers can be overbearing. Cancer parents can be too manipulative and kind of be over controlling of their kids' life. Cancer parents can do too much. And you have to understand that I'm very caring. But I got Capricorn in the 4th house. I'm more like a Capricorn parent. I'm daddy. And I handle business like such. But yeah, that's the story of how I spent years of my life in prison, y'all. I'm sorry that I had to take a break in the middle. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. I thank y'all for putting up with me. I thank y'all for y'all's inspiration. I thank y'all for y'all's love and support. I thank y'all for giving me something to strive for every single day. And that's just, hey, that's everything. Tomorrow, let me tell you, it's Friday. Tomorrow we gonna have some fun, y'all. Tomorrow we gonna talk shit. We gonna vibe. We gonna roast your motherfucking placements. So tomorrow on Freaky Friday, if you want to hear how I really feel about whatever particular placement you might want to speak on, we're gonna go there. We're gonna have some fun tomorrow. For real. For real. We might do some top 5s tomorrow. We're gonna do some top 5s tomorrow. We're gonna talk cash shit. We're gonna enjoy ourselves. Cause this eclipse, you're gonna need a release. You're gonna need a release. Because we got this motherfucking Taurus eclipse going on. And there's some interesting energy going along with it. For instance, I'm pretty sure, maybe not right now, it might be a little bit past it right now, but Uranus is going to be opposite the sun and conjunct the moon at some point, if today or yesterday. Like, hey, if you have something in your life that is stopping you from getting into that bag, it's time to cut that shit loose. If you're going through some fucked up shit in your relationships, it's time to stop allowing that bullshit. Because you only get what you allow. Malcolm Wilson, you said, how would this eclipse affect your North Node in Scorpio? Depends on what degrees you're at. But, hey, man. Be careful. Because I'm also going to say that if you've been dealing with some bullshit with old toxic ass, lying ass motherfucker, I did that, Nino. Appreciate it. If you've been dealing with some bullshit with all toxic ass lying motherfucker, if you've been finding yourself a little too comfortable in situations, what's up, Nino? You caught us at the end, though. If you've been finding yourself too comfortable in certain situations, now it's time to cut that shit loose. Now it's time to cut that shit loose. If you done got complacent, nah. That ain't gonna fly no more. Fuck that. I definitely will, Kane. I appreciate it. This ain't it. You can have so much more, whether it be in the way of power, or whether it be in the way of financial things or material acquisition. That's what this is about. Taurus and Scorpio is about the exchange of power. Taurus is about going to get it. Scorpio is about making it come to you. If there was ever a time to start focusing on getting your money right, this is it right now. This is it right now. With Mars in Scorpio, with Mercury in Scorpio, with Venus in Capricorn for the next 3 fucking months. It's time to start doing things to tangibly change your situation right now. It's there. It's there. I know you're going to have a lot of people that are spiritual people that are going to try to tell you not to get your money. Don't worry about your money. It's not, nah. Fuck that. You better go get it because it's there. If you don't, somebody else is. Somebody else is. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. I had somebody here recently teach me a lot about valuing myself, and I thank them so much for it, especially if they're still watching. They taught me so much about valuing myself. They taught me so much about speaking abundance into reality. They taught me so much about breaking out of that broke mentality, that Saturn in the second house mentality. Once again, goes back to you only get what you allow. If you allow life, people, situations to shortchange you, then your ass is going to be short of change your whole life. Nah. The game is a fat bitch. You better make it pay what it weighs. Real spit. But yeah, man. It's time. It's time to do something else. It's time to do something else. Scorpio is about transformations. Taurus, not only is it about material things, enjoying yourself and being comfortable, but it's also beautiful. So it's time to get rid of everything that's keeping you from living a beautiful life. Because you can live a beautiful life if you want to. All you got to do is choose to stop living fucked up. Like, you have a choice whether you smile or not right now. Smile. If you chose not to smile just now, that's your problem. That's your fault. You chose not to do that shit. Just remember that. Hey, I love y'all. I hope my story that I gave to y'all today could really help y'all get to a point that y'all can understand that you don't have to be fucked up if you fucked up in your life, or maybe you can just look back and be thankful that y'all have this Rodrigo here talking to y'all now, and y'all ain't got to deal with that fucked up motherfucker that used to be alive. Either way it goes, remember that just because you build like that, you don't have to build like that. I love y'all. I thank y'all. I'm thankful for all the lessons I've learned. I'm thankful for all the people that I've come across, whether they like me or whether I like them. And hey, we're going to keep riding till the wheels fall off. Remember, tune in with me tomorrow, man. Because tomorrow we're going to have fun. You like that gray on gray? Man, y'all should already know I stay fly, man. But yeah, tomorrow I say at the same time as today. Tomorrow at noon East Coast time, 11 o'clock Central time, 10 o'clock Mountain time, 9 o'clock Pacific Standard time. We're going to come. We're going to be roasting your shine. We're going to be doing top fives. We're going to be vibing. We're going to have a good time. We're going to be talking cash shit tomorrow. If you want to hear how a motherfucker really feel about your placement, fuck with me tomorrow. I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you the worst part of yourself tomorrow. So tune in. But don't bring that sensitive bullshit with you, because I'm liable to hurt your feelings. I ain't nice like boss. I'll slap the black off your ass. I love y'all, man. We done.